Hey, what's up? John Sonnemas here from SimpleProgram.com. I'm in Venice, Italy, recording a couple of videos here. Well, I got some time before I head back home. Almost time. Anyway, I got this question about on a video I did. I did this video called "Teaching to Learn" or "Should I Teach to Learn?" And Code in Coffee Nepal sent me a comment, or wrote a comment that says, "John, please tell me how to learn from the mistakes. I have failed in a couple of exams in the past 4 months, and I'm feeling like a dick. I want to learn from those failures. How can I do that in an effective way?" So I thought I'd do a video talking about how to learn from failures. So again, this is one of those videos where I could approach this from multiple angles. There's multiple answers, multiple paths that could lead us to what is right here, but I'm going to just give you one viewpoint, sort of one way of looking at failures and learning from them that I think will help you. So here's what I would say here, right? I mean, if you failed a few exams in the past 4 months, right? How are you going to learn from the failure? Right? At the low level of learning from the failure, you might say, well, I should have learned something from failing at those exams, like the information on the exam. But that's looking too low. We got to look higher up. We got to say, well, why did you fail the exams, right? And you got to say, well, what caused that failure? It's not knowing the information. It's something you did wrong about learning or studying that information so that you could pass the exam. So sometimes it's hard to figure that out, right? And the reason why is because here's the thing. Okay, most people in life, this is where you guys go wrong. This is where I used to go wrong. This is where a lot of people go wrong. Is that they try to figure out what is the minimum thing that I can do in order to achieve my goal, right? It seems economical. It seems like it makes sense, right? But the thing is, like, okay, think of it this way, all right? When you drive your car, okay, let's say that you're going, let's say you're in California, okay, and you're going to drive to Vegas, all right? That's a nice place. Go, let's say from LA to Vegas. So you're like, well, I don't know, was it like a 5-hour drive? It's like, I don't know how many 100 miles. My car gets so many miles per gallon, like 25 miles per gallon. So I'm going to fill up just enough money, just enough gallons to make it to Vegas. Well, I don't know if you know, but I think it's been a while since I've driven to Vegas, but I think there's like there's this long stretch where there's like no gas stations or something. And, I think there's warning signs that say, hey, you better have gas, right? So if you just fill your car with just enough gas to make it to Vegas, what do you think is going to happen if you're wrong? What do you think is going to happen if you're off by 5 miles? Not a lot of miles to be off by. You could get that pretty close, or maybe there's some traffic and it ends up eating up some more of your gasoline, or your mileage is not as good as what you expected, your gas mileage. You're going to be stuck, right? You're going to be pushing a fucking car, right? You're going to be calling AAA. It's going to be bad. It's not that you're just not going to get there on time. You're going to get there really, really late. You see what I'm saying? And so the thing is, if you want to drive to Vegas, just fill your tank. Just fill the fucking tank. Just, and heck, if you really want to make sure that you get there under any circumstances, get an extra gas tank, right, canister, and put it in the back. Put it in the back of the pickup truck or whatever, right? So you've got the backup gas as well. You see what I'm saying here? So most people do this. Most people live through life and they figure out some goal, something they want to achieve, some kind of success. They want to pass their exam. So they say, well, what's the minimum amount of studying that I can do in order to pass that exam? And it seems economical. It seems like it makes sense. And if you could calculate it perfectly, it would make sense. Except the thing is that a lot of times in life you fall short or your estimation's off. And when you do that, right, it's like building a bridge but not having enough wood. It doesn't pay you any kind of benefit to have a 90% completed bridge. If you don't have enough wood to build the bridge, it's not going to get you across, okay? So same thing here is the best way to learn from your mistakes is to figure out what it would take. Okay, this is where I'm going with this. In order to guarantee success. I talk about this a lot. This is why I talk about like working your ass off. We'll do links to videos on working so hard. And it's because like, and trust the process, right? This is whole trust the process thing. We can link to that as well. I got a t-shirt as well if you want to buy it. It'll be in the link below. But the thing is that you've got to figure out what could you do that couldn't possibly fail, right? And this is, you know, when you make a mistake and you fail, okay, because sometimes, you know, you haven't planned this out ahead of time. So the next thing you should be thinking is, how could I possibly not fail, right? For what have I learned from this that I could make a foolproof plan that there's no way I could possibly fail at this, right? So if I'm trying to figure out how I'm not going to pass these, how I'm not going to fail these exams and fuck up, I'm going to go through and I'm going to say, what's all the shit that I did? What's all the time that I wasted? Okay, well, how much studying did I do? I studied for, I don't know, how many hours? Let me add it up, okay? And then I'm going to say, well, if I studied 3 times as much as what I did, which I'm assuming that you studied enough that you thought you should be able to pass the exam. But, you know, if you only studied for like 5 minutes, that this isn't going to work. But assuming that you put what you thought was enough gas in the car and you didn't make it to Vegas, then you got to figure out, okay, what is it going to take, right, to make it so that I can't possibly fail? So, and then you overdo it, right? Don't just fill your car with just enough gas to get there. Fill it with 5 times the amount of gas that you need to get there. You just overkill. Make sure you're going to get it. Because if you bring too much wood to build the bridge and you finish and you have some leftover wood, big fucking deal. Build another fucking bridge. You see what I'm saying? Like, but if you don't have enough, you're screwed. You can't get across the river. So always overdrive. Always, you know, don't. It's like, you know, have you ever seen someone run a race and they're like, oh, there's the finish line, right? You know, they've got the ribbon across the finish line, and like, they start slowing down. Like, okay, all right, I guess I can just walk across the finish. No, fucking run through the finish line. Break the rope. Run hard, okay? Don't give any chance for someone to catch up and beat you, or for you to trip and fall, you know, and fail. Like, if you're that close, then run right through it. So that's, you know, finishing strong, right? I did a video on finishing strong. I don't know, we put that one up as well. But yeah, so one good way to learn from your failures, like I said, is to take the failure and then figure out what you did that you thought was going to succeed. And then, you know, as my my good friend Grant Cardone would say, actually, I'll put a link to his book, 10X Rule. Okay, I love his stuff. I love his book. He has a good one, Be Obsessed or Be Average. I've done a review on that one. But 10X Rule, right? He says the same thing. He says, like, figure out what it would take to achieve your goal and 10X that. Do 10 times that amount. Then you can't possibly fail. And that's kind of the secret to life, right? That's like, if you start doing that, you're not going to fail. Like, it'll be amazing. And people will be like, well, how do you always, like, succeed at all these things? How are you always the best at everything you try to do? And it's because, well, you're 10Xing shit, because you don't just try and, you know, do like everyone else and just try and hit the goal. You try to fucking blast right through it. And that's the key. So you want to learn from your mistakes, you want to learn from your failures, take them, and then figure out how could you alter the plan so that it couldn't possibly fail. And maybe you can tone it down a little bit later, but right now, I can guarantee you, if you, and here's the other thing, right, is if you figure out the best person in the class who's getting the highest grades and what they're doing, and you do 3 times as much work as they're doing, guaranteed you will pass. It's guaranteed, right? Are you willing to do it? Are you willing to pay the price? That's what life comes down to, is that question. And so you might as well, because again, falling short, right? Here's the other thing, right? I'll give you, just without an analogy, just in terms of what you just asked me. If you study for an exam, and let's say you study 9 hours for an exam, and you fail that exam, those 9 hours are completely wasted, essentially. If your goal was just to be able to pass that exam, those 9 hours are completely wasted. They have no purpose. They have no use, right? So would it be, so well, let's say that you spent 18 hours and you passed the exam. Isn't that better? You see what I'm saying? Like, isn't that better? So if you're not going to do it enough, if you're not going to hit it hard enough, if you're not going to push hard enough, you're better off not doing it at all. Because you would have gotten the same grade if you studied 0 hours. If you fail, you failed. So you should have done 0 and just gotten the F. Or you should do 18 and get the A, right? Or pass. You see what I'm saying? So don't do the half measure. Half measures is a waste of time. It's building a bridge to 90%. So much of life people waste. They waste it. They have the same amount of time. We all have 24 hours in a day. But when you do half measures and you half-ass shit, what ends up happening is you just waste time. and you get no benefit from it, and you just spent the time. It's like, it's like putting something on layaway, okay, and paying for 90% of it. And they're like, well, sorry, you can't get those fucking bunny slippers because they cost $100 and you only paid $90. So sorry, when you come up with the extra $10, you can have them. But there you go. That's it. Then Kmart closes down for good, and you're done. All right, if you like this video, click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and click the bell so you don't miss any videos. I'll talk to you next time.